So you were just influenced by backward hat bros or women in sports bras on TikTok, or your crazy fit friend said, let's do doubles. And now you're Googling what's a kilometer and wondering if 190 beats per minute is a good heart rate for an easy run. Well, don't worry, I got you. Let's talk about how to train for your first Hyrox. After coaching dozens of Hyrox athletes and even a second place finisher in the Go Ruck division, RIP, here are the things that I see people get wrong all too often when they're training for their first, third, 10th race. Number one, doing too many metcons or just random workouts in the week. Now, this often just leaves people feeling really beat up and not having enough quality in their training. I understand, and I have taught so many classes, and I get the love for training in like an environment where other people are around you, getting sweat on like you were just invited to Diddy's house, having music or having somebody think for you. It can be so enticing, especially since you signed up for this race. You want your training to look like it. But the reality is Hyrox training should be broken down into its component parts, and I'll get to that later in the video of how your workouts should look. Number two, not enough cardio for the actual race. 50% of this race is running. Two of the stations are literally cardio. If you don't have a base, there's no recovery. There's no ability to get through what a majority of this race is going to look like. So we'll get into what running should look like and how to get yourself to a place where running doesn't feel like it's the worst thing in the world. Number three, not doing enough general strength training. If a 6 kilogram wall ball is burying you, doing more of them probably isn't the solution. There are much easier ways to get stronger for the sled, for the pull, for the lunges, for the wall balls that doesn't require you feeling like your heart is going to be beating out of your chest every single workout, and you'll actually have strength that will carry over to race day. And then number four, pushing too hard all the time because the race looks like a sprint. Whether you're doing doubles or singles, you should have some work capacity, which is going to require some easy days and not feeling beat up all the time just because the race is hard. So, going into how to actually train for the race. As I said before, 50% of the race is running. You have 8 stations and 8 times you will run. So therefore, we need to actually be a good runner. Further out from the race, you should be developing your work capacity and your ability to handle mileage. Then, as we get closer to the race, we're going to add in that speed work. I want you to understand this. You don't have to be as fast as the elites, but the Elite 15 are running an average of roughly 3 minutes and 30 seconds per kilometer. So being fast is the solution to having a good time and not feeling like you're going to absolutely die during the race. With that in mind, you should be scheduling your running as your first priority and then everything else around that. Now, depending on your experience with running in the past, you will have to gradually build. Now, if you're a runner coming into this race, you probably have a good idea of what you can handle, the number of days of speed work, the number of miles in a week. But if you're new to this, my recommendation is more frequent, less duration runs. So for example, rather than trying to go out and just crush a 10K 3 times a week, it might be more beneficial to shorten those runs to 20 to 30 minute runs and do them more frequently. This is to build up your capacity. Then when you start adding speed work as you get closer to the race, your body knows how to handle all of that pounding, and then you have the skill of running already completed, and then it all flows from there. In tangent with that, use the ergs to build your work capacity. It's not uncommon for me to program 8 to 10 kilometers of rowing and skiing in a single workout for my athletes. These machines are amazing at building your cardiovascular endurance while also not leaving you so beat up from running. They remove all the pounding, but they are a way that you can really get in a lot of quality, recover, and then the next session of running, you feel better and just build off of that. Number two, strength is built much easier with traditional weight training. So I always love to use the example of if you could do a front squat into a press with 500 pounds, a 18-pound wall ball is going to feel like nothing. So rather than just always doing like heavy sled push, which is still important, you can really develop your strength much easier without as much pounding or throwing in those metcons by doing things like back squats, deadlifts, rows, presses with the barbell. This is something that I think is super underappreciated, that having strong legs, being just generally strong, will help you through those stations more than training those stations themselves. As you get closer to the race, and we will get into this in the next step, you can replace some of that strength training with metcon work because you have that strength built up. Now, programming your strength doesn't take very much. 2 to 3 dedicated strength workouts where you're focusing on those compound movements, lower repetitions, not doing hundreds of lunges just because there's lunges in the race. Building your peak strength allows you to do those lighter weights much easier. So in the beginning, doing general strength and then swapping later as you get closer to the race. Number 3, being smart about your metcon or your Hyrox workouts. Rather than just sitting on the toilet and scrolling through Instagram waiting to find your next workout that has 500 burpees, 1,000 lunges, and whatever mix of random dumbbell snatches that go into it, having some form of the stations in your workouts where you're building capacity and practicing the skill of those movements is going to do you better than just throwing things together and not really having a plan of what you're trying to accomplish that day. Metcons, and I'm just going to use that term, are better at showing your fitness rather than building it. When we're training our cardio separately and our strength separately, those get built better independently and we bring them together as the race gets here. Now, as we get closer, getting that feeling of zone 4, I'm going deaf as I do burpee broad jumps, I hate my life, why did I sign up for this race? You have to manage those things. So it is important, but you're not building as effectively as you could be by separating those other two things. Understanding that as you practice those metcons and Hyrox workouts, you're going to have the general capabilities to bring it all together come race day. Now, the fourth and overarching principle of that is that you should be building upon the workouts you did last week. So each week of training shouldn't look too different than last week's training because any skill, doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're a carpenter or a plumber, a painter, you want to be taking the skills that you learned last week and improving upon them week over week. Now, having blocks of training, so early in the block or early in the training phase, maybe you're focusing more on conditioning and general strength qualities. Second block is speed work and erg work, and then as you get closer to the race, that is where you're pulling it all together, and then your Hyrox workouts take priority. But in those weeks, you should be trying to build upon the workouts you did the week before. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they need to be faster or heavier weights, but practicing the skill of that work is going to do you a lot of good. Now, if you want me to do the thinking for you, you're watching this video to this point, I have a 12-week Hyrox program that will get you ready for the race. Here are the 7 days of the first week so you can get a feel for what that looks like. But here's how you can pull it all together to really get you ready for race day. The link to that program will be in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments or share it with a friend that you want to suffer with you come race day. Because we all know misery loves company, and why do we sign up for these races in the first place?